Welcome back to History Teller YT, the place where the past comes alive and every story unfolds like an epic saga. Today, we dive into one of the most extraordinary chapters in world history, the Haitian Revolution. Imagine a society enslaved for centuries, where people were forced to work under unimaginable brutality on the richest colony in the world. Now imagine those same people rising up, defying the most powerful empire of their time, fighting not just for survival, but for freedom, dignity, and a nation of their own. This is the story of Toussaint Louverture, the brilliant strategist who turned the tide of war with sheer intellect and courage. The tale of Jean-Jacques Dessalines, whose relentless determination and fearless leadership carved Haiti into the first independent Black republic in history. And the story of a people who refused to be enslaved, inspiring generations across the globe, altering the course of revolutions, and challenging the entire world to rethink freedom and equality. From the burning plantations to the blood-soaked battlefields, from the halls of power to the unbroken spirit of a liberated people, this is the Haitian Revolution, a story of courage, resilience, and unyielding hope. Stay with us, because by the end of this journey, you'll not just hear history, you'll feel it, live it, and understand why it changed the world forever. Saint-Domingue, the French colony that would later become Haiti, was a paradox of wealth and cruelty. By the late 18th century, it was the richest colony in the Caribbean, often referred to as the Pearl of the Antilles, producing enormous amounts of sugar, coffee, and indigo. This prosperity, however, was built entirely on the backs of enslaved Africans. The population of Saint-Domingue in 1789 was approximately 500,000 enslaved people, outnumbering the white colonists, known as Grands Blancs and Petits Blancs, and a growing group of free people of color, gens de couleur libres. Life for the enslaved was brutal. Long hours in the sun, harsh punishments, disease, and little hope of freedom. The disparity between wealth and oppression created an environment ripe for revolution. For years, enslaved people resisted through subtle acts, sabotaging tools, slowing work, escaping, but the seeds of a larger uprising were beginning to form. European Enlightenment ideas and the rumblings of the French Revolution brought new hope for those seeking liberty and equality, planting the first ideological sparks that would ignite Saint-Domingue. The social hierarchy of Saint-Domingue was complex and deeply unequal. At the top were the Grands Blancs, wealthy plantation owners and merchants, who held immense power over the colony's economy and governance. Below them were the Petits Blancs, less affluent Europeans, artisans, and clerks, who often resented the economic dominance of the Grands Blancs. In the middle were the free people of color, many of whom were mixed race, educated, and sometimes wealthy, yet they faced systemic discrimination despite their contributions to society and economy. At the bottom were the enslaved Africans, whose labor created the colony's wealth, but who were denied even the most basic human rights. These tensions were further exacerbated by the French Revolution, which championed liberty, equality, and fraternity. Free people of color began demanding rights, inspiring enslaved people to envision a world without bondage. Rumors of uprisings and revolts swirled through plantations, and small-scale rebellions became increasingly frequent. By 1791, Saint-Domingue was on the brink of a massive upheaval that would challenge the global order. The spark that ignited the Haitian Revolution came in August 1791. In the northern plains, enslaved communities, often organized in maroon societies, coordinated an uprising. Thousands of enslaved people rose up simultaneously, attacking plantations, killing overseers, and setting fields ablaze. This rebellion was both spontaneous and highly organized, showing the leadership and strategy embedded within the enslaved population. The revolution was not merely a revolt against individual plantation owners. It was a rejection of the entire system of slavery, colonial exploitation, and racial hierarchy. News of the uprising spread rapidly, terrifying the colonists and forcing them to confront the possibility that their entire social and economic structure was at risk. The stage was set for a prolonged struggle, one that would eventually draw in multiple foreign powers, including Spain, Britain, and revolutionary France itself, transforming Saint-Domingue from a colony into the birthplace of the first independent Black republic in the modern world. Toussaint Louverture, born in 1743 in the northern plains of Saint-Domingue, came from modest beginnings. Unlike many enslaved individuals, Toussaint was relatively fortunate in receiving some basic education, learning to read and write under the guidance of his godfather, a local planter. This literacy and exposure to ideas of freedom and human dignity would shape his revolutionary thinking. From a young age, he witnessed the brutality of slavery firsthand. Overseers wielding whips, families torn apart, and the oppressive laws that treated enslaved people as property rather than human beings. Despite this, Toussaint demonstrated intelligence, resilience, and an uncanny ability to understand people's motives, qualities that would later define his military genius. He initially worked as a coachman and later as a plantation manager, gaining knowledge of the economic workings of the colony. These experiences gave him insight into both the vulnerabilities of the French colonists and the potential of organized resistance. By the time the rebellion erupted in 1791, Toussaint was already deeply aware of the systemic injustices around him and ready to rise as a leader who could unite enslaved people, free people of color, and sympathetic Europeans under a common cause. The early stages of rebellion were not only physical, but deeply spiritual. Vodou, the Afro-Caribbean religion practiced by enslaved communities, played a central role in unifying disparate groups and inspiring courage. Priests and priestesses organized secret ceremonies, which were more than religious gatherings. They were strategic meetings where plans for coordinated revolts were discussed under the guise of ritual. The famous Bois Cayman ceremony in August 1791 is often cited as a pivotal moment, where leaders called upon divine protection and motivated hundreds to rise against their oppressors. These early revolts, while often localized, demonstrated remarkable coordination. Enslaved people destroyed plantations, killed overseers, and liberated others from captivity. The initial chaos also highlighted the importance of leadership. Without organization, the rebels risked annihilation at the hands of French militias or foreign forces. Toussaint Louverture, though initially not the central figure, began connecting with other leaders, learning from the successes and failures of these early uprisings. These experiences would help him craft a strategy that combined military skill, diplomacy, and psychological insight, eventually allowing the enslaved population to challenge one of the most powerful colonial empires in the world. Across the Atlantic, the French Revolution of 1789 sent shockwaves through Saint-Domingue. The revolutionary ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity challenged the very foundation of colonial society. Free people of color saw the French Revolution as an opportunity to claim their rights, demanding citizenship, property protection, and political representation. Meanwhile, enslaved people interpreted these principles as a promise of liberation, fueling their determination to fight. The French National Assembly issued declarations regarding rights for free people of color, partially in response to their lobbying and protests. However, these decrees were inconsistently applied, causing resentment and further tension between racial groups. France's internal turmoil, the overthrow of the monarchy, and the subsequent wars with European powers created a chaotic backdrop that Toussaint and other revolutionary leaders would exploit. They understood that France's focus was divided and that the colony's wealth could be used as leverage. By framing their struggle within a language of French revolutionary ideals, enslaved leaders could justify their rebellion not only morally, but politically, appealing to European audiences and complicating any attempts to suppress the uprising. This blend of ideology and practical strategy became a hallmark of Toussaint Louverture's leadership in the coming years. The revolt that began in August 1791 in the northern plains of Saint-Domingue marked the official start of the Haitian Revolution. Enslaved people, organized in maroon communities and led by local chiefs and religious leaders, coordinated attacks on plantations, targeting overseers and destroying property. The rebellion spread rapidly, fueled by the collective memory of cruelty, injustice, and the desire for freedom. Fires engulfed sugar and coffee plantations. Plantations were abandoned by frightened European owners, and tens of thousands of enslaved people mobilized into armed groups. Though initially lacking centralized leadership, these insurgents displayed remarkable discipline, attacking simultaneously across the northern plain. Many of the enslaved were inspired by voodoo ceremonies, which had instilled courage and a sense of divine protection. The sheer scale of the uprising shocked the French colonists, who had previously underestimated the organization and resilience of the enslaved population. This revolt demonstrated that enslaved Africans were not passive victims, but strategic actors capable of dismantling a colonial system built on exploitation and terror. The early success of the rebellion laid the groundwork for larger revolutionary structures, creating both hope for the enslaved and fear among the colonial elite. As the revolt escalated, Toussaint Louverture emerged as a formidable leader, quickly gaining recognition for his intelligence, organizational skills, and ability to unite disparate groups. Initially cautious, Toussaint studied the unfolding rebellion, identifying the strengths and weaknesses of both the insurgents and the colonial forces. By late 1791, he had begun recruiting former enslaved people, free people of color, and sympathetic whites into a disciplined military force. Toussaint's leadership style was unique. He combined strict military discipline with empathy for his soldiers' experiences, ensuring loyalty and morale. He also embraced the principles of the French Revolution, advocating for freedom, equality, and strategic alliances to gain legitimacy. Under his guidance, small, scattered bands of rebels transformed into a cohesive force capable of engaging French troops, local militias, and later foreign invaders. Toussaint understood the importance of intelligence and negotiation, often using diplomacy to avoid unnecessary bloodshed while simultaneously preparing for decisive attacks. His rise marked a turning point in the revolution, as he began shaping it from spontaneous revolt into a structured campaign with the ultimate goal of liberating the entire colony. The Haitian Revolution unfolded against the backdrop of global conflict. France, engulfed by its own revolution and subsequent wars with European powers, struggled to maintain authority over Saint-Domingue. Britain and Spain, both wary of France's revolutionary ideals spreading to their colonies, sought to exploit the unrest. Spain, controlling the neighboring colony of Saint-Domingue, initially encouraged enslaved people to revolt against the French, offering freedom and protection in exchange for military support. Britain, concerned about the disruption of the profitable sugar trade, sent troops to seize parts of the colony. Toussaint Louverture and other leaders skillfully navigated these competing forces, forming temporary alliances when advantageous, while keeping the focus on the ultimate goal: emancipation and independence for the enslaved population. These foreign interventions complicated the conflict, turning Saint-Domingue into a geopolitical chessboard, yet they also presented opportunities. Toussaint leveraged France's internal chaos and foreign ambitions to strengthen his forces, secure weapons, and gain strategic advantages. This period highlighted the interconnected nature of revolutionary movements, showing how a local uprising in the Caribbean could ripple across empires and force the world's most powerful nations to respond. By 1792 to 1793, Toussaint Louverture had begun demonstrating remarkable strategic and military brilliance, earning recognition from both his allies and enemies. Unlike many other leaders of spontaneous revolts, Toussaint emphasized organization, discipline, and long-term planning. He transformed small groups of insurgents into disciplined brigades capable of coordinated attacks and defensive maneuvers. Toussaint studied European military tactics and combined them with the guerrilla warfare techniques of maroon communities, making his forces adaptable and unpredictable. He understood the importance of terrain, using the mountainous regions of northern Saint-Domingue to launch surprise attacks while securing supply lines. His leadership extended beyond combat. He implemented strict codes of conduct among troops, ensured fair treatment of captured enemies when it served strategic purposes, and emphasized unity among freed and enslaved populations. Toussaint's vision went beyond mere survival. He sought to create a military force capable of confronting European powers, resisting internal rebellion, and ultimately securing emancipation. By combining intelligence, diplomacy, and battlefield prowess, Toussaint began transforming the Haitian Revolution from a chaotic uprising into a disciplined, strategic campaign. Initially, Toussaint allied with Spain, which controlled the neighboring colony of Saint-Domingue, accepting support and weapons in exchange for fighting French forces. This alliance allowed him to strengthen his forces, gain experience, and establish control over significant portions of northern Saint-Domingue. However, the political landscape shifted when France, under revolutionary rule, abolished slavery in its colonies in 1794. Recognizing the opportunity to align the fight for freedom with the French government, Toussaint switched allegiance to France. This shift was not merely opportunistic. It reflected his deep understanding that emancipation could be legitimized under French law, gaining moral and strategic leverage. Toussaint skillfully navigated this complex political landscape, negotiating with both European powers and local leaders to ensure the survival and growth of his army. His ability to adapt to changing alliances and maintain focus on the ultimate goal, freedom for all enslaved people, set him apart from other leaders. By aligning with France, Toussaint gained access to formal military training, arms, and the support of the revolutionary government, giving him the tools to expand his campaign across the colony while keeping foreign powers at bay. With Toussaint's leadership and the backing of France, the rebellion spread rapidly. By 1795, former enslaved fighters under his command had gained control of vast territories in northern and central Saint-Domingue. Plantation owners fled, local militias were defeated, and key ports were captured, disrupting the colony's economy. Toussaint's strategy emphasized both military engagement and social restructuring. He encouraged freedmen to continue working the plantations under fair conditions, ensuring food production and maintaining economic stability. This approach showcased his vision for a sustainable society beyond mere revolt, a colony where freed slaves could thrive and economic life could continue despite the destruction of the old system. Toussaint also worked to integrate former free people of color into leadership roles, uniting various social groups under a common cause. by combining military victories with social and political organization. Toussaint Louverture transformed Saint-Domingue from a series of scattered rebellions into a coordinated revolutionary state capable of challenging colonial and foreign powers alike. His leadership demonstrated that the Haitian Revolution was not only a struggle for liberation, but also a blueprint for nation building under extreme circumstances. By 1796, Toussaint Louverture had solidified control over northern Saint-Domingue, but the southern regions remained contested. The South, with its fertile plantations and strategic ports, was crucial for the colony's economy and future stability. Toussaint launched a carefully planned campaign to bring the South under his authority, balancing military force with diplomacy. He recognized that a purely violent conquest could alienate local populations and disrupt essential food production. Therefore, Toussaint combined targeted military action with negotiations, offering protection and incentives to plantation workers and former free people of color who pledged loyalty. His forces, composed of disciplined, battle-hardened troops, moved swiftly through the terrain, using guerrilla tactics and knowledge of local geography to outmaneuver hostile militias and foreign-aligned forces. By 1797, Toussaint had effectively unified the North and South under his command, creating the first truly coordinated revolutionary administration in Saint-Domingue. This unification was more than a military victory. It was a foundation for governance, signaling the emergence of Toussaint as both a military leader and a statesman capable of balancing power, justice, and economic management. Toussaint Louverture's vision extended far beyond the battlefield. He recognized that true liberation required the transformation of society, not just the abolition of slavery. Once regions were under his control, he implemented policies to stabilize the economy and ensure sustainable development. Freed slaves were encouraged to return to the plantations, but under fair and just conditions, receiving wages, protection, and a voice in the management of production. Toussaint introduced strict regulations to prevent abuses, punish lawlessness, and maintain order, demonstrating his belief in structured governance. He also promoted education, literacy, and the integration of free people of color into administrative roles, fostering a sense of shared responsibility. Toussaint's reforms aimed to reconcile the need for economic productivity with the ideals of liberty and human dignity. By maintaining agricultural output while ensuring freedom and rights for the formerly enslaved, he created a society that challenged both European colonial norms and contemporary assumptions about post-slavery governance. This dual focus on liberation and pragmatism became a hallmark of Toussaint's leadership and a key reason why the Haitian Revolution succeeded where others failed. Toussaint's successes in uniting the colony and reforming society drew the attention of European powers and neighboring colonies. France, still embroiled in European conflicts, recognized Toussaint as a necessary partner in maintaining some semblance of control over Saint-Domingue. Toussaint skillfully negotiated with French authorities, ensuring that his forces were formally recognized while retaining operational independence. Meanwhile, Britain and Spain, alarmed by the spread of revolutionary ideals and fearing uprisings in their own Caribbean colonies, attempted to undermine his authority through military intervention and propaganda. Toussaint countered these threats through diplomacy, forming strategic alliances when necessary, and using his reputation as a disciplined and fair leader to gain legitimacy. His approach combined realpolitik with revolutionary principles. Toussaint demonstrated that he could negotiate with powerful European states while remaining unwavering in his commitment to freedom and justice for the formerly enslaved population. By 1798, his leadership had transformed Saint-Domingue from a fragmented colony into a semi-autonomous revolutionary state. capable of defending itself and influencing global perceptions of race, freedom, and governance in the Age of Empire. By 1799, Toussaint Louverture had effectively unified Saint-Domingue under his authority, bringing an end to much of the internal chaos that had characterized the early years of the Revolution. Through a combination of strategic military campaigns, political alliances, and administrative reforms, Toussaint transformed a fragmented colony into a functioning state. He established a structured system of governance, appointing capable commanders to oversee different regions and ensuring that local economies continued to function. Unlike European colonial rulers, Toussaint's administration emphasized fairness, meritocracy, and accountability. Freedmen were encouraged to participate in governance, and land disputes were arbitrated based on evidence and justice rather than race or status. Toussaint also recognized the importance of sustaining agriculture, especially sugar and coffee production, as these were vital for the colony's economy and global trade. He implemented strict labor regulations to maintain productivity without reverting to the oppressive practices of slavery, demonstrating his unique ability to balance moral principles with pragmatic governance. By the turn of the century, Saint-Domingue under Toussaint was not only a revolutionary stronghold, but also a model of revolutionary administration capable of challenging European colonial assumptions about black leadership and self-governance. While Toussaint maintained control over the colony, his relationship with France became increasingly complex. The French government, eager to retain influence over Saint-Domingue's wealth, attempted to assert authority, but Toussaint skillfully navigated these pressures. He presented himself as a loyal general of the French Republic, emphasizing his commitment to revolutionary ideals, including liberty, equality, and fraternity, while asserting the practical autonomy of his administration. Toussaint sent envoys to Paris, negotiating for recognition, supplies, and legitimacy. He leveraged France's political instability and ongoing European wars to maintain bargaining power, ensuring that the revolutionary government in Saint-Domingue could operate independently in practice, even if nominally loyal to France. Toussaint's diplomacy reflected his deep understanding of global politics. He recognized that outright confrontation with France could provoke devastating retaliation, while unconditional submission would compromise the revolution's achievements. By striking this delicate balance, Toussaint positioned Saint-Domingue as both a strategic ally and a self-determining revolutionary state, capable of influencing the Caribbean and European powers alike. His ability to combine military authority with political acumen became a defining feature of his leadership. Despite his successes, Toussaint faced persistent threats from foreign powers. Britain, concerned about the loss of profitable Caribbean colonies and the spread of revolutionary ideals, launched military expeditions aimed at seizing Saint-Domingue. Spanish forces, controlling the neighboring colony of Santo Domingo, also posed a threat, initially supporting insurgent groups in northern Saint-Domingue. Toussaint countered these challenges through a combination of military strategy, alliances, and diplomacy. He defeated British forces in several key engagements, leveraging his knowledge of terrain and guerrilla tactics to outmaneuver larger, conventional armies. At the same time, he negotiated with Spain to neutralize threats along the eastern border, often offering incentives or strategic compromises to secure peace. Toussaint's approach demonstrated an unparalleled understanding of the interconnected nature of Caribbean geopolitics. He realized that the survival of Saint-Domingue depended not only on military might, but also on skillful negotiation with external powers. By 1800, Toussaint had effectively neutralized major foreign threats, consolidating his authority over the entire colony and establishing Saint-Domingue as the most secure, self-governing, and revolutionary state in the Americas. By 1801, Toussaint Louverture had not only unified Saint-Domingue militarily, but also sought to transform it into a stable, just, and productive society, understanding that the revolution needed more than freedom from slavery. He implemented comprehensive legal reforms. Toussaint drafted a constitution for Saint-Domingue, declaring him governor for life, but emphasizing the abolition of slavery, equality of all citizens, and the maintenance of social order. The Constitution established a legal system to regulate labor, property, and civic duties, ensuring that former enslaved people could work and live with dignity. Toussaint prohibited discrimination based on race, promoting meritocracy and rewarding loyalty and competence. Land ownership was regulated to prevent chaos, while families who had been separated under slavery were reunited wherever possible. His legal reforms reflected his vision of a sustainable society that could resist internal factionalism, foreign threats, and economic collapse. By codifying principles of justice, liberty, and equality, Toussaint created a revolutionary state in which the formerly enslaved population could thrive, demonstrating to the world that black leadership was both capable and morally grounded. Toussaint recognized that Saint-Domingue's wealth had historically depended on plantation agriculture, particularly sugar and coffee production. Yet he faced a delicate balance, reviving the economy without returning to the oppressive slavery system that had triggered the revolution. Toussaint developed an innovative system in which freedmen worked the land under fair labor contracts, receiving wages, incentives, and the freedom to own small plots. He organized plantations into cooperative structures, ensuring high productivity while preventing exploitation. To support trade, he maintained key ports under secure control and negotiated agreements with foreign merchants for the export of coffee, sugar, and other commodities. Toussaint also emphasized infrastructure improvements, rebuilding roads, bridges, and irrigation systems destroyed during the early years of the revolution. His policies revived Saint-Domingue's economy to near pre-revolutionary levels, proving that freedom and economic prosperity were not mutually exclusive. By combining practical management with revolutionary ideals, Toussaint ensured that the colony could sustain itself, feed its population, and finance its military, reinforcing the revolution's long-term success and creating a model for post-slavery governance. Although Toussaint remained formally loyal to France, he increasingly prepared Saint-Domingue for full autonomy. He trained a disciplined army of former slaves and free people of color, capable of defending the colony against foreign invasion or internal rebellion. Toussaint understood that the restoration of slavery or French colonial control was the greatest existential threat to the revolution. He encouraged education, literacy, and civic engagement among the population to foster a sense of national identity and loyalty. Toussaint's governance extended beyond military and economic matters. He promoted cultural initiatives, reinforced social cohesion, and emphasized the importance of unity in the face of external pressures. By 1801, Saint-Domingue had evolved from a chaotic, enslaved society into a well-governed revolutionary state, laying the groundwork for what would soon become Haiti, the first independent black republic in the modern world. Toussaint's vision, blending political, social, and military strategies, ensured that when the final struggle for independence began, the colony would be organized, resilient, and ready to claim its place on the global stage. In 1802, the geopolitical landscape shifted dramatically with the rise of Napoleon Bonaparte in France. Napoleon, determined to restore French imperial dominance and expand colonial wealth, viewed Saint-Domingue as a crucial asset due to its lucrative sugar and coffee production. Unlike the previous revolutionary governments, Napoleon sought not only to maintain control over the colony, but also to reinstate slavery, believing that the productivity of the plantations depended on forced labor. This posed an existential threat to the freedom Toussaint Louverture had fought to secure. Toussaint recognized the danger immediately, understanding that French troops, well-trained and equipped, would attempt to crush the revolution and re-enslave the population. He prepared meticulously, strengthening his military forces, fortifying key positions, and rallying the people around the ideals of liberty, equality, and independence. Toussaint's leadership during this period was characterized by a combination of military ingenuity, strategic diplomacy, and moral authority. He knew that the upcoming struggle was not only a fight for territory, but a battle to preserve the principles of the revolution and the freedom of hundreds of thousands of formerly enslaved people. Facing one of the most formidable armies in the world, Toussaint Louverture relied on his deep understanding of terrain, guerrilla tactics, and the resilience of his troops. He avoided conventional battles whenever possible, instead using ambushes, surprise attacks, and controlled retreats to inflict heavy casualties on French forces. Toussaint's army, composed of disciplined and motivated former slaves, leveraged knowledge of the local environment to their advantage, striking supply lines, isolating units, and exhausting the enemy. Disease, particularly yellow fever, further weakened the French troops, and Toussaint used this to his strategic advantage, combining military action with patience and timing. Unlike many generals of the era, Toussaint also emphasized the moral conduct of his forces, forbidding unnecessary violence against civilians and ensuring that discipline remained high. His leadership inspired loyalty and courage, transforming a group of former slaves into a professional military force capable of challenging Napoleon's ambitions. The conflict tested Toussaint's strategic genius, as he had to defend the revolution against one of the most powerful military machines in Europe, while maintaining the support and morale of a population that had only recently won its freedom. Alongside military resistance, Toussaint engaged in careful diplomacy to protect Saint-Domingue from complete destruction. He sought to exploit divisions within France, appealing to revolutionary ideals and the recognition of slavery's abolition to justify his actions. Toussaint also communicated with foreign powers, such as Britain and the United States, carefully balancing potential alliances without compromising the colony's autonomy. His diplomatic approach extended internally as well, maintaining unity among diverse factions in Saint-Domingue, including former slaves, free people of color, and sympathetic whites. Toussaint's ability to combine diplomacy with military strategy was crucial in prolonging resistance against Napoleon's expedition, frustrating French attempts to reassert control and ultimately preserving the gains of the revolution. By the end of 1802, Toussaint had effectively neutralized the French threat through a combination of battlefield mastery, disease, local knowledge, and political acumen, demonstrating that Saint-Domingue could resist imperial domination and setting the stage for the island's full independence. In 1802, after months of fierce resistance, Napoleon Bonaparte decided to personally intervene to reassert French control over Saint-Domingue. Despite Toussaint Louverture's careful diplomacy and conditional loyalty to France, Napoleon viewed him as an obstacle to imperial restoration and the potential re-establishment of slavery. Toussaint, understanding the dangers, attempted to negotiate with the French, seeking assurances for the colony's freedom and the continuation of emancipation policies. However, the French General Leclerc, acting under Napoleon's orders, deceived Toussaint. Invited to a meeting under the pretense of peaceful negotiations, Toussaint was arrested in June 1802 and placed on a ship bound for France. This betrayal shocked the population and tested the revolutionary spirit of Saint-Domingue. Toussaint's capture did not immediately crush the rebellion. Instead, It ignited a renewed determination among his followers to continue the fight for freedom. Toussaint's arrest symbolized both the vulnerability of revolutionary leaders and the indomitable will of the formerly enslaved people to resist oppression at any cost. Even in captivity, Toussaint remained a symbol of resilience and leadership, embodying the principles he had fought for throughout his life. Toussaint Louverture was transported to Fort de Joux, a remote, cold fortress in the French Alps, far removed from the Caribbean climate, to weaken him physically and psychologically. The conditions were harsh: freezing temperatures, minimal provisions, and the isolation of imprisonment. Despite these brutal circumstances, Toussaint maintained his dignity and continued to inspire those who knew of his plight. He refused to renounce his revolutionary principles or betray the people he had liberated, demonstrating unwavering moral and political conviction. In April 1803, after nearly a year of imprisonment, Toussaint Louverture died in captivity. His death was a profound loss for the Haitian Revolutionary movement, removing the central figure who had unified the colony and directed the struggle for independence. Yet, Toussaint's ideas, strategies, and organizational structures had already taken root, ensuring that the revolution would not falter. His legacy became a guiding force for the next generation of leaders who would continue the fight against French forces, proving that the revolution was larger than any single individual, no matter how brilliant or inspiring. Toussaint's capture did not signal the end of the Haitian Revolution. Leadership passed to capable generals who had been trained, inspired, and organized under his guidance, including Jean-Jacques Dessalines and Henri Christophe. These leaders maintained the revolutionary momentum, capitalizing on the knowledge, discipline, and organizational framework Toussaint had established. The enslaved population, motivated by the vision of freedom and independence, continued the struggle with even greater intensity, now fueled by a desire for retribution against the French for Toussaint's betrayal. Disease, tropical climate, and guerrilla tactics continued to decimate Napoleon's forces, preventing them from fully re-establishing control. Toussaint's absence was felt, but his principles, emancipation, equality, and disciplined governance, remained embedded in the Revolutionary Army and civil administration. By late 1803, the French forces were exhausted and vulnerable, setting the stage for a decisive final phase of the revolution that would ultimately lead to the creation of the independent nation of Haiti. Toussaint Louverture's life had ended, but his vision of freedom continued to guide and inspire the struggle, proving the enduring power of revolutionary leadership. After the capture and death of Toussaint Louverture in 1803, leadership of the Haitian Revolutionary Forces passed to Jean-Jacques Dessalines, a former lieutenant of Toussaint and a seasoned military strategist. Dessalines inherited a disciplined army and a population determined to resist re-enslavement at all costs. He immediately recognized the urgency of consolidating control, motivating his troops with a blend of revolutionary ideology and uncompromising resolve. Dessalines reorganized the army into specialized units, emphasizing mobility, coordination, and guerrilla tactics adapted to Saint-Domingue's rugged terrain. Unlike previous engagements, Dessalines employed scorched earth strategies to weaken French supply lines and deny resources to Napoleon's troops. His leadership was marked by both ruthlessness against enemies and unwavering commitment to protecting the liberated population, creating an army that was not only a military force, but also a political symbol of Haitian freedom. The determination of Dessalines and his troops reflected the enduring legacy of Toussaint Louverture, a revolutionary vision that combined strategic brilliance with moral authority, demonstrating that the struggle for liberty was unstoppable, even after the loss of its most iconic leader. The French expeditionary forces, led by General Leclerc and reinforced by Napoleon's orders, faced increasingly insurmountable challenges. Disease, particularly yellow fever, decimated French ranks, while Dessalines' forces continuously harassed and outmaneuvered the invaders. Key battles in 1803, such as the siege of Creux-de-Pierrot and engagements across the northern and central plains, showcased Dessalines' mastery of both conventional and guerrilla warfare. His troops, motivated by the dream of freedom and guided by Toussaint's organizational principles, inflicted heavy casualties and forced the French into defensive positions. The scorched earth policy ensured that French forces could not rely on local resources, further weakening their ability to sustain prolonged campaigns. Civilians, freedmen, and marooned communities actively supported Dessalines' army, providing intelligence, supplies, and shelter. This total integration of military and civilian efforts created a revolutionary synergy that proved overwhelming. By late 1803, the French forces were exhausted, demoralized, and unable to maintain effective control, marking the beginning of the end for Napoleon's ambitions in the Caribbean and demonstrating the effectiveness of Haitian revolutionary strategy against one of the most powerful militaries in the world. On January 1st, 1804, after years of relentless struggle, Dessalines formally declared the independence of Haiti, making it the first independent nation led by formerly enslaved people in the modern era. The declaration was not merely a political act. It was a profound statement of human dignity, resilience, and revolutionary achievement. The new nation adopted policies reflecting the ideals fought for during the Revolution: the abolition of slavery, the promotion of equality, and the creation of a sovereign state free from European domination. Dessalines assumed the role of emperor, but remained committed to protecting the rights and freedoms of the population, continuing the vision Toussaint Louverture had established. Haiti's independence sent shockwaves across the globe, challenging European powers' assumptions about race, governance, and the possibility of self-determination. The Haitian Revolution had succeeded where others had failed, transforming the Caribbean and inspiring oppressed peoples worldwide. The final victory reflected a combination of strategic brilliance, ideological commitment, and the unwavering courage of a population determined to achieve freedom against all odds, fulfilling the revolutionary dream initiated decades earlier by Toussaint Louverture. Following the Declaration of Independence on January 1st, 1804, Dessalines faced the immense task of transforming a war-torn colony into a functioning nation. Haiti had suffered decades of exploitation, plantation destruction, and continuous warfare, leaving infrastructure in ruins and social systems fragmented. Dessalines immediately focused on consolidating power and establishing central authority to ensure the survival of the new state. He organized the administration into provinces, appointing trusted generals and revolutionary leaders to oversee local governance. Laws were codified to protect citizens, secure property, and maintain social order, with a strong emphasis on equality for all formerly enslaved people. Dessalines also implemented labor regulations that balanced economic production with human dignity, ensuring that the plantation system could resume without replicating slavery. Education and literacy initiatives were encouraged to promote civic engagement and national identity, reflecting the revolutionary values embedded in the Haitian Constitution. Despite immense challenges, Dessalines' administration emphasized discipline, unity, and a commitment to revolutionary ideals, laying the foundation for a nation that was not only free but capable of self-governance. One of the most pressing issues Dessalines faced was the economic devastation left by decades of conflict. Plantations, fields, and infrastructure had been destroyed during the war, and the European powers had imposed blockades that restricted trade. Dessalines understood that a functioning economy was essential for the survival of Haiti and for securing international recognition. He initiated policies to revive agriculture, particularly sugar and coffee production, while ensuring that labor was compensated fairly. Workers were organized into cooperative units, with supervision and incentives to maintain productivity. Dessalines also encouraged trade with sympathetic nations, such as the United States, to bypass European embargoes and generate revenue. Additionally, he worked to restore urban centers, rebuild ports, and establish markets to facilitate commerce. These economic policies reflected a balance between pragmatism and revolutionary principles. Dessalines sought to rebuild wealth and productivity without compromising the freedom and dignity of the population. His ability to restore economic stability amid devastation demonstrated his vision of a sustainable, independent Haiti capable of resisting both internal collapse and external pressures. While Haiti was free from European control, Dessalines faced internal challenges to authority. Factions among former revolutionaries, local leaders, and free people of color created tension and threatened the cohesion of the new state. Dessalines responded with a combination of firm enforcement and strategic integration, rewarding loyal supporters while neutralizing potential dissent. He maintained a strong military presence to secure borders, suppress uprisings, and prevent foreign intervention. Dessalines also promoted a sense of national unity, emphasizing shared revolutionary experiences and the collective struggle for freedom. Festivals, ceremonies, and public declarations reinforced national identity and celebrated the victories of the revolution. Despite his authoritarian style, Dessalines' leadership ensured relative stability during the critical early years, preventing the fragmentation that often plagued newly independent nations. By addressing social, political, and military challenges simultaneously, Dessalines solidified his rule and strengthened the foundation of the first independent Black republic in the world. His reign during these early years reflected both the promise and the precariousness of post-revolutionary governance, balancing the ideals of liberty with the practical demands of nation-building. In September 1804, Jean-Jacques Dessalines declared himself Emperor of Haiti, taking the title Jacques I. This moment marked the formal establishment of Haiti as a sovereign empire and symbolized the consolidation of revolutionary victories into a stable political structure. Dessalines' coronation was both a celebration of freedom and a statement to the world. Haiti was no longer a colony, nor would it ever be subjected to European domination again. The ceremony emphasized grandeur, drawing inspiration from European imperial traditions while asserting Haiti's distinct identity as a Black-led nation. Dessalines used the coronation to reinforce unity and loyalty among the population, reminding citizens of their collective struggle and the sacrifices made to achieve independence. The declaration as emperor also allowed Dessalines to centralize authority, streamline governance, and maintain a disciplined military presence throughout the country. Despite his authoritarian title, Dessalines' policies continued to reflect the revolutionary ideals of liberty, equality, and protection of the formerly enslaved, distinguishing Haiti from the oppressive regimes that had ruled the Caribbean for centuries. As emperor, Dessalines focused on consolidating power while ensuring the survival of Haiti's revolutionary achievements. One of his key priorities was maintaining social cohesion among the diverse population of freed slaves, former free people of color, and European-descended individuals who remained. Dessalines implemented strict laws to protect citizens' rights, prevent exploitation, and punish attempts to reintroduce slavery. He maintained a structured labor system, combining economic necessity with freedom, ensuring agricultural productivity while respecting workers' autonomy. Dessalines also encouraged urban development, trade, and the rebuilding of infrastructure destroyed during the years of war. Education and civic participation were promoted to cultivate a sense of national identity, loyalty, and collective responsibility. Additionally, Dessalines sought to integrate former military leaders and revolutionary figures into governance roles, creating a network of loyal administrators who could enforce policies effectively. While his methods were often strict, his policies reflected a balance between pragmatism and revolutionary ideals, ensuring that Haiti remained a functioning state capable of defending its independence and achieving long-term stability in the aftermath of decades of upheaval. Despite the triumph of independence, Haiti faced significant international challenges under Emperor Dessalines. European powers, particularly France, refused to recognize Haiti's sovereignty, viewing the nation as a threat to colonial order and a symbol of slave resistance. Diplomatic isolation, economic embargoes, and threats of invasion posed constant risks to the fledgling empire. Dessalines navigated this complex international environment with careful diplomacy, seeking alliances with sympathetic nations, including the United States, to secure trade and legitimacy. He also strengthened the military to deter foreign intervention, maintaining a formidable army capable of defending the nation's borders. Dessalines' foreign policy reflected the dual necessity of defending Haiti's revolutionary gains while asserting sovereignty on the global stage. His strategies demonstrated foresight, blending military preparedness with negotiation, and highlighted the precarious position of a black-led state in a world dominated by European colonial powers. By asserting Haiti's independence and engaging with international actors strategically, Dessalines not only preserved the revolutionary legacy, but also challenged the global system of slavery and colonialism, sending a powerful message that freedom could no longer be suppressed by force alone. In the later years of his reign, Emperor Jean-Jacques Dessalines faced increasing internal challenges. While his leadership had successfully consolidated Haiti's independence and established a functioning state, tensions began to emerge among the population and former revolutionary leaders. Dessalines' authoritarian style, necessary for maintaining order in the immediate post-revolutionary period, was perceived by some as overly harsh and restrictive. Former allies and generals, once united under the shared goal of liberation, began to question his policies, particularly those concerning land distribution, military oversight, and labor regulations on plantations. Dessalines maintained strict control over both civil and military affairs, employing loyal troops to enforce his directives and suppress dissent. However, these measures also fueled resentment among sections of the elite and free people of color who fear marginalization under the centralized power structure. Despite these tensions, Dessalines remained committed to his vision of a stable, independent Haiti, balancing strict governance with the revolutionary ideals of equality and freedom that had guided him throughout his military campaigns. The internal struggles highlighted the complexities of transitioning from revolutionary leadership to sovereign governance in a nation forged through conflict. Dessalines' later reign also faced significant economic and military pressures. Haiti's economy, while revitalized, remained fragile due to years of destruction from the revolution, continued embargoes by European powers, and the necessity of maintaining a large standing army to deter both internal revolts and foreign intervention. Dessalines emphasized agricultural production, particularly in sugar and coffee, implementing policies to ensure productivity while avoiding the return of slavery. He maintained a disciplined military, capable of rapid deployment to suppress uprisings or defend borders. Despite these efforts, limited resources and the challenges of rebuilding infrastructure created ongoing difficulties. Dessalines' insistence on centralization and strict enforcement of labor policies often conflicted with local autonomy, creating friction among regional leaders and plantation managers. This tension between maintaining order, fostering economic recovery, and preserving revolutionary ideals underscore the immense challenges faced by leaders transitioning from revolutionary struggle to the demands of nation building. Nevertheless, Dessalines remained resolute, understanding that Haiti's survival depended on maintaining unity, discipline, and readiness against both domestic and international threats. On October 17, 1806, Emperor Dessalines was assassinated in an ambush orchestrated by discontented former allies and rival factions within Haiti. His death marked a dramatic turning point in the early history of the nation, exposing vulnerabilities in a state heavily reliant on centralized authority. Despite his violent removal from power, Dessalines' legacy remained profound. He had preserved the revolutionary gains of Toussaint Louverture, secured Haiti's independence, and established a framework for governance that balanced revolutionary ideals with practical statecraft. The assassination highlighted the inherent challenges of post-revolutionary leadership, particularly in societies emerging from prolonged conflict, but it did not undo the achievements of the revolution itself. Dessalines' policies, military strategies, and vision for a sovereign black republic continued to influence subsequent leaders and the development of Haiti as a nation. His reign demonstrated the necessity of strong leadership in the immediate post-revolutionary period, while also reflecting the complex tensions that arise when transforming revolutionary victory into stable governance. Dessalines remains celebrated as a symbol of courage, resilience, and the unyielding pursuit of freedom. After the assassination of Emperor Jean-Jacques Dessalines in October 1806, Haiti entered a period of political fragmentation and uncertainty. The centralized authority that had maintained unity during and immediately after the revolution collapsed, leaving a power vacuum that rival factions quickly sought to fill. Former generals and revolutionary leaders vied for control, with regional loyalties and personal ambitions creating a volatile political landscape. Henri Christophe, a former lieutenant under Toussaint and Dessalines, established dominance in the northern provinces, while Alexandre Pétion, another key revolutionary figure, gained authority in the southern regions. The division of Haiti into two distinct political entities reflected both historical regional differences and the challenges of maintaining cohesion in a post-revolutionary society. These early years exposed the inherent tension between central authority and local autonomy in a nation forged through violent struggle, highlighting the difficulty of translating revolutionary unity into long-term governance. Despite these challenges, the revolutionary ideals of Toussaint Louverture and Dessalines continued to influence political discourse, shaping the policies and priorities of emerging leaders across the divided nation. In the north, Henri Christophe established a semi-autocratic regime that eventually became the Kingdom of Haiti in 1811, crowning himself King Henri. Christophe's rule emphasized order, discipline, and the consolidation of authority, echoing the centralized governance of Dessalines, but adapting it to the new political context. He implemented a strict hierarchy and administrative system, maintaining a professional army to deter internal rebellion and defend against potential foreign incursions. Christophe also invested in infrastructure, constructing roads, fortresses, and the iconic Citadel La Ferrière, which became a symbol of Haitian resilience and independence. Education and agricultural development were prioritized to strengthen economic stability, and Christophe sought to balance the demands of governance with the revolutionary legacy of equality and emancipation. Despite his authoritarian tendencies, Christophe's reign stabilized the northern region, providing security and continuity in a turbulent post-Dessalines period. His efforts reflected a pragmatic understanding of the need for strong leadership in a nation still vulnerable to internal factionalism and external threats, ensuring that the revolutionary gains were preserved while navigating the complexities of governance in a divided Haiti. In contrast, the southern region of Haiti, under Alexandre Pétion, developed into a more democratic republic emphasizing civic participation and local autonomy. Pétion, a former free person of color and revolutionary leader, championed policies that encouraged land redistribution, smallholder farming, and the empowerment of local communities. He sought to address social inequalities while maintaining the economic viability of the newly independent state, promoting cooperative farming practices and encouraging the resettlement of former enslaved populations on productive lands. Pétion's governance style reflected a blend of pragmatism and adherence to revolutionary ideals, emphasizing freedom, social justice, and civic engagement. The Southern Republic maintained diplomatic relations with foreign powers cautiously, seeking trade opportunities while preserving sovereignty. Despite differences in governance style and political ideology, both northern and southern leaders acknowledged the revolutionary heritage of Toussaint Louverture and Dessalines, recognizing that the continued survival of Haiti depended on adherence to the principles of emancipation, national unity, and resistance to external domination. The division of Haiti, while highlighting regional and political tensions, preserved the revolutionary achievements and laid the groundwork for future unification and nation-building. Following the division of Haiti into the Northern Kingdom under Henri Christophe and the Southern Republic under Alexandre Pétion, the newly independent nation faced immense challenges in economic reconstruction. Decades of warfare, destruction of plantations, and colonial exploitation had left infrastructure in ruins, and both regions had to rebuild from scratch. Christophe focused on revitalizing large-scale agriculture, particularly sugar and coffee, using a strict labor system with strong oversight, while still ensuring that workers were free citizens rather than enslaved. Pétion, in contrast, emphasized land redistribution, promoting smallholder farming to empower formerly enslaved people and foster local autonomy. Both leaders invested in rebuilding roads, fortifications, and urban centers, recognizing that economic stability was essential for political legitimacy and national security. Education and literacy programs were gradually expanded to foster civic awareness and national identity. Despite differing approaches, both regions shared the goal of preserving the revolutionary ideals of Toussaint Louverture and Dessalines: freedom, equality, and resilience. Economic recovery was not merely a practical necessity. It was also a political statement, demonstrating that a black-led nation could achieve prosperity independently, countering centuries of colonial propaganda and European assumptions about race and governance. The division between North and South created ongoing political tension. Henri Christophe's Northern monarchy emphasized strict centralized control and hierarchical governance, while Pétion's Southern Republic promoted local autonomy, civic participation, and democratic decision-making. These contrasting systems reflected differing interpretations of revolutionary principles, and attempts to unify the country faced resistance from entrenched regional loyalties and personal ambitions among leaders. Diplomatic communications were maintained to prevent open conflict, but mistrust and ideological differences persisted. Both Christophe and Pétion sought to legitimize their authority through symbolic and practical measures. Christophe by erecting monumental fortifications and asserting military dominance, Pétion by enacting progressive social policies and distributing land to strengthen his base. The challenges of unifying Haiti highlighted the difficulties of transitioning from a revolutionary movement to a stable, cohesive nation-state, especially after the death of unifying figures like Toussaint and Dessalines. Yet, despite these tensions, the revolutionary ethos remained a guiding force, ensuring that all factions were committed to preserving the nation's independence and preventing a return to slavery or foreign domination. Even years after their deaths, Toussaint Louverture and Dessalines continued to shape Haiti's political, social, and military development. Toussaint's emphasis on discipline, organization, and strategic governance influenced both Christophe and Pétion in their respective administrations, while Dessalines' legacy of resolute leadership and uncompromising defense of freedom inspired national pride and collective determination. The revolutionary ideals of emancipation, equality, and self-determination remained embedded in the culture, guiding decisions on governance, land distribution, and economic policies. These principles also provided a framework for international diplomacy as Haiti navigated recognition challenges, trade embargoes, and the threats posed by former colonial powers. The memory of the revolution reinforced a sense of national identity, uniting citizens across regional and social divisions. Education, public ceremonies, and oral history preserve the stories of struggle and heroism, ensuring that future generations would understand the sacrifices made to achieve independence. In this way, the Haitian Revolution was not only a historical event, but a living foundation for the ongoing development of the nation, shaping the identity, policies, and resilience of Haiti long after the battlefield victories had ended. In the early 19th century, Haiti faced a precarious position on the international stage. While the nation had achieved independence, its existence as a black-led republic challenged entrenched European colonial systems and the global institution of slavery. European powers, particularly France, Spain, and Britain, refused to recognize Haiti's sovereignty, fearing the spread of revolutionary ideals to their own colonies. France demanded reparations and threatened invasion, viewing the loss of Saint-Domingue as both a financial and symbolic blow to imperial prestige. Britain, concerned about revolutionary contagion and economic competition, maintained a cautious stance, often enforcing trade restrictions that hindered Haiti's recovery. The United States, despite occasional commercial interests, limited diplomatic engagement due to fears of destabilizing its southern slaveholding states. This isolation created a profound challenge for Haiti, which required trade, recognition, and alliances to survive economically and politically. Haitian leaders, including Alexandre Pétion and Henri Christophe, worked tirelessly to navigate this hostile international environment, leveraging limited diplomatic channels, engaging in cautious negotiation, and maintaining a strong military posture to deter aggression. The struggle for recognition underscored the broader global significance of the Haitian Revolution. The fight for freedom in the Caribbean directly challenged the prevailing power structures of Europe and the Americas, making Haiti both a beacon of emancipation and a target for repression. Despite European hostility, Haiti sought strategic partnerships to sustain its fledgling economy and secure international legitimacy. Pétion, leading the Southern Republic, established cautious trade relations with the United States, exchanging coffee, sugar, and other commodities for essential goods, weapons, and supplies. This pragmatic approach allowed Haiti to bypass some European embargoes while demonstrating its ability to function as a sovereign trade partner. Henri Christophe, in the north, also engaged in diplomacy, emphasizing security, recognition, and economic stability. Both leaders recognized that diplomatic skill was as critical as military strength in ensuring Haiti's survival. Negotiations involved a careful balance. Haitian leaders had to assert sovereignty and the rights of formerly enslaved citizens while appealing to foreign powers' economic or strategic interests. These efforts showcased the complexity of post-revolutionary statecraft, particularly for a nation emerging from the dual challenges of colonialism and slavery. By successfully managing international relations despite widespread hostility, Haiti demonstrated the practical application of revolutionary principles, proving that independence could be maintained not just on the battlefield, but through skillful diplomacy and strategic engagement with the global system. Haiti's international struggles had immediate economic consequences. Blockades imposed by European powers limited access to key markets, reducing exports and creating shortages of essential goods. France's demand for reparations, later formalized as the indemnity for lost colonial profits, placed a heavy burden on the new nation, forcing leaders to devise policies to generate revenue while avoiding social unrest. Both Pétion and Christophe implemented taxation systems, promoted agricultural productivity, and encouraged small-scale industries to sustain the economy. These measures required balancing fairness with necessity, ensuring that the population, still recovering from decades of war, could survive while funding the state and its defenses. The resilience of Haiti's economy, despite these constraints, highlighted the effectiveness of revolutionary governance structures established by Toussaint and Dessalines. By combining strategic diplomacy, careful resource management, and innovative economic policies, Haiti not only survived but gradually established itself as a functioning, independent state capable of resisting both internal fragmentation and external pressure. The early international challenges underscored the global impact of the Haitian Revolution and the extraordinary efforts required to transform revolutionary victory into sustainable nationhood. Following independence and the tumultuous post-revolutionary period, Haiti faced the challenge of building not only political and economic stability, but also a coherent cultural identity. The revolutionary experience had forged a unique society, combining African heritage, European influences, and the collective memory of struggle and emancipation. Leaders like Henri Christophe in the north and Alexandre Pétion in the south recognized that national cohesion required the cultivation of culture as a tool for unity. Public ceremonies, commemorations of revolutionary victories, and the celebration of Toussaint Louverture and Dessalines as national heroes reinforced shared identity and collective pride. Music, dance, and oral storytelling became central to preserving the history of the revolution, passing the narratives of heroism, resistance, and liberation to future generations. This cultural reinforcement helped maintain morale, sustain loyalty to the new state, and prevent internal fragmentation. It also served as a symbolic assertion of Haiti's distinct identity in the face of international hostility and isolation, demonstrating that the revolution had not only freed bodies, but also shaped a unique national consciousness that would influence political, social, and educational development for decades. Education emerged as a critical pillar for consolidating Haiti's independence and reinforcing revolutionary ideals. The new Haitian leadership understood that literacy and knowledge were essential for civic participation, national unity, and long-term development. In the Northern Kingdom, Henri Christophe established schools designed to provide basic literacy and vocational training for children of freed families, preparing them to contribute to the administration, economy, and defense of the nation. In the Southern Republic, Pétion promoted education with a focus on liberal arts and civic engagement, aiming to cultivate informed citizens capable of participating in local governance. Teachers were often trained from within the revolutionary generation, ensuring that instruction included lessons about Haiti's history, the struggle for freedom, and the responsibilities of citizenship. Literacy programs extended beyond formal education, incorporating public readings, civic discussions, and the dissemination of revolutionary documents to reach a broader population. Through these efforts, Haiti sought to transform its citizens into active participants in the preservation and development of the state, ensuring that the revolutionary legacy of freedom and equality would not be lost to subsequent generations, and providing the intellectual foundation necessary for national progress in a hostile global environment. Beyond formal education and cultural preservation, Haitian leaders worked to consolidate a sense of national identity grounded in the revolutionary struggle. National symbols, including the Haitian flag, public monuments, and commemorative ceremonies, were used to embed the ideals of liberty, equality, and resilience into the collective consciousness. These symbols served both internal and external purposes. Internally, they reinforced unity among diverse social groups and regions, reminding citizens of shared history and achievements. Externally, they asserted Haiti's sovereignty and distinctiveness on the global stage. Religious practices, particularly Vodou, also played a crucial role in national identity, blending spiritual tradition with revolutionary symbolism and reinforcing social cohesion. Local leaders encouraged the integration of African cultural heritage with European-influenced governance structures, creating a hybrid identity that was uniquely Haitian. By cultivating this national consciousness, the leadership ensured that the revolutionary principles guiding Toussaint Louverture, Dessalines, Christophe, and Pétion would remain embedded in Haitian society, fostering loyalty, resilience, and pride among citizens while simultaneously presenting Haiti as a unified, sovereign, and culturally distinct nation to the international community. Following the revolution and the division of Haiti into northern and southern regions, economic recovery became a central concern for both Henri Christophe's kingdom in the north and Alexandre Pétion's republic in the south. Decades of warfare, the destruction of plantations, and the disruption of trade networks had left the country in ruins. Christophe prioritized large-scale agricultural production, particularly in sugar and coffee, utilizing disciplined labor systems while maintaining the freedom of workers. He introduced strict oversight, rewards for productivity, and technical training for agricultural managers to ensure efficient output. Pétion, in contrast, focused on redistributing land to create a class of small-scale farmers, empowering former slaves and free people of color to own property and sustain livelihoods. Both approaches reflected attempts to balance economic necessity with revolutionary principles. Infrastructure rebuilding was critical. Roads, ports, and storage facilities were repaired to facilitate the transport of goods, and urban centers were revitalized to support local commerce. This dual approach ensured that Haiti could recover economically without replicating the oppressive systems that had fueled the revolution, demonstrating the leader's ability to navigate complex post-war economic challenges while preserving social justice and independence. Haiti's economic survival depended heavily on trade, yet European hostility and blockades severely restricted access to international markets. France demanded reparations, Britain maintained embargoes, and other colonial powers feared Haiti's revolutionary example. In response, Haitian leaders developed innovative trade strategies. Pétion negotiated commercial agreements with the United States, exchanging coffee, sugar, and other commodities for essential goods, weapons, and supplies. Christophe pursued similar efforts, cautiously engaging foreign merchants while emphasizing the security of Haitian ports. Both leaders sought to diversify economic partners, reduce dependency on hostile powers, and stabilize revenue streams. Internally, they promoted economic self-sufficiency through local production, fostering artisanal industries, encouraging domestic commerce, and regulating labor in a manner that maintained both productivity and freedom. These strategies highlighted Haiti's adaptability. The nation was able to leverage limited opportunities, mitigate external pressures, and maintain its sovereignty through practical economic policies rooted in revolutionary principles. By managing trade carefully, Haiti survived global isolation, maintained national independence, and demonstrated the ability of a formerly enslaved society to function successfully in a hostile international environment. Agriculture remained the backbone of Haiti's economy, and leaders faced the challenge of maintaining high productivity without returning to slavery. Christophe's northern kingdom employed a hierarchical system in which skilled overseers coordinated large plantations while respecting the freedom of laborers, offering incentives and recognition for contributions. Pétion's Southern Republic encouraged smallholder farming, distributing land to individuals and families to foster economic independence and social stability. Both systems had social implications. They created a sense of ownership, responsibility, and empowerment among formerly enslaved people, while also ensuring that the economy could sustain the state and its military. Labor policies were enforced with discipline, but also reflected revolutionary ideals, demonstrating that productivity could coexist with liberty. Educational programs supported agricultural innovation and management skills, preparing citizens to maintain and expand the nation's economic foundations. These measures ensured not only economic survival, but also social cohesion, reinforcing Haiti's identity as a free, independent nation capable of managing its resources effectively. By integrating economic pragmatism with revolutionary values, Haiti laid the foundation for a resilient, self-sufficient state able to withstand both internal and external challenges. After Haiti's declaration of independence in 1804, the young nation faced profound challenges in securing international recognition. European powers, threatened by Haiti's successful slave revolution, largely refused to acknowledge its sovereignty. France, in particular, viewed Haiti's independence as both an economic and ideological affront, demanding reparation for the lost colony and refusing diplomatic engagement. Other European empires, including Spain and Britain, feared that recognizing Haiti would inspire rebellions in their own Caribbean territories and thus maintained hostile stances, including trade restrictions and embargoes. The United States, though ideologically aligned with freedom in theory, limited engagement due to concerns about its southern slaveholding population, fearing that recognition might embolden enslaved people and challenge the institution of slavery domestically. Haitian leaders, including Alexandre Pétion in the south and Henri Christophe in the north, faced the delicate task of navigating this isolation, seeking to assert legitimacy while defending their revolutionary achievements. They pursued cautious diplomacy, using emissaries and trade incentives to appeal to nations willing to engage commercially, if not politically. This struggle underscored Haiti's precarious position. While victorious in war, its survival depended on the strategic negotiation of international power structures fundamentally opposed to the principles of emancipation. To mitigate international hostility, Haitian leaders adopted innovative diplomatic strategies. Pétion sought alliances with sympathetic countries, including commercial agreements with the United States, exchanging Haiti's primary exports, coffee, sugar, and indigo, for essential goods, weapons, and recognition of sovereignty in practical terms. Christophe, in the north, pursued similar strategies, emphasizing the defense of Haitian borders, the security of trade ports, and cautious engagement with foreign merchants and states. Both leaders maintained strong military readiness, signaling to foreign powers that Haiti was capable of defending its independence against invasion or coercion. Diplomatic efforts were also symbolic, invoking the revolutionary ideals of Toussaint Louverture and Dessalines to reinforce legitimacy. Emissaries emphasized that Haiti represented a stable, sovereign state founded on liberty and equality, countering European narratives that framed the nation as chaotic or illegitimate. These diplomatic efforts gradually bore fruit. Some nations engaged in limited trade, and over time, recognition began to emerge, though at a slow and calculated pace. Haiti's approach demonstrated the interplay between revolutionary ideals, practical statecraft, and a need for flexibility in navigating a hostile global environment dominated by former colonial powers. The Haitian Revolution's impact extended far beyond the Caribbean, shaping global perceptions of freedom, race, and revolutionary possibility. Haiti became a symbol of emancipation, inspiring enslaved populations and oppressed peoples throughout the Americas and Europe. Its existence challenged colonial and imperial ideologies, forcing European powers to reconsider the consequences of slave resistance and rebellion. Leaders such as Simón Bolívar in South America drew inspiration from Haiti, receiving support from Haitian President Pétion to advance independence movements against Spanish colonial rule. This support often included material aid, such as weapons, supplies, and political guidance, demonstrating Haiti's active role in shaping liberation movements abroad. Moreover, the revolution influenced debates on slavery, human rights, and governance in international intellectual circles, showing that a society led by formerly enslaved individuals could not only survive but thrive. Haiti's continued independence and international presence underscored the enduring legacy of Toussaint Louverture and Dessalines. The revolution had not only created a sovereign nation, but also altered global conceptions of freedom, equality, and the possibilities of self-determination for oppressed peoples around the world. The Haitian Revolution fundamentally transformed the social structure of Saint-Domingue, permanently abolishing slavery and reshaping the lives of formerly enslaved people. For centuries, Saint-Domingue had been one of the wealthiest colonies in the world, powered by brutal slavery on plantations producing sugar, coffee, and indigo. The revolution ended this system, liberating tens of thousands and ensuring that Haitian society would be led by individuals who had endured and triumphed over oppression. The abolition of slavery was not merely a legal decree. It was a social revolution, redefining relationships between laborers, landowners, and the state. Land redistribution policies under leaders like Pétion empowered freed people to become property owners, creating smallholder farms that encouraged economic independence and social stability. Urban centers were rebuilt to support civic life, education, and commerce, reflecting the integration of revolutionary ideals into everyday life. Social hierarchies were redefined. Formerly enslaved people now held positions of political, economic, and military authority. Cultural practices, particularly African traditions and voodoo, were revitalized and incorporated into national identity, symbolizing both continuity with ancestral heritage and the radical break from colonial oppression. This societal transformation made Haiti a unique model in the Americas, a state where freedom, equality, and self-determination were central to governance, culture, and social organization. The Haitian Revolution established a profound sense of national identity that remains central to Haitian consciousness. Leaders such as Toussaint Louverture, Jean-Jacques Dessalines, Henri Christophe, and Alexandre Pétion left legacies that combined military genius, revolutionary ideology, and political innovation. The revolution's victories were celebrated through national symbols, monuments, and public ceremonies, reinforcing a shared memory of struggle, resilience, and triumph. The Haitian Constitution and subsequent laws institutionalized equality and sovereignty, serving as a political blueprint for governance rooted in revolutionary ideals. Even as the nation experienced internal divisions, the revolution's ethos continued to unify citizens, emphasizing collective pride, freedom, and the responsibilities of citizenship. Education and cultural preservation ensured that these ideals were transmitted across generations, fostering a population attuned to both the sacrifices of the past and the responsibilities of independence. Politically, Haiti demonstrated that formerly enslaved people could organize, govern, and defend a sovereign nation, challenging prevailing global assumptions about race, capability, and legitimacy. The legacy of these revolutionary leaders thus extends beyond military achievements. They created an enduring political and cultural framework that informed Haitian governance and inspired movements for freedom elsewhere. The Haitian Revolution's influence extended far beyond the island's shores, reshaping global perspectives on slavery, colonialism, and human rights. The creation of the first independent Black republic served as a beacon of liberation, inspiring enslaved populations and anti-colonial movements throughout the Americas. Figures such as Simone Bolivar received material and ideological support from Haiti, demonstrating the revolution's tangible impact on subsequent independence movements. European powers were forced to reconsider colonial policies, and the revolution sparked debates about human freedom, equality, and governance worldwide. Economically, Haiti's success challenged the assumption that a post-slavery society could not sustain productivity or international trade. Culturally, the revolution affirmed the value of African heritage, combining it with revolutionary ideals to create a distinct national identity that defied European norms. The Haitian Revolution remains a testament to the power of collective resistance, strategic leadership, and the pursuit of justice, illustrating that systemic oppression can be overthrown through courage, organization, and unity. Its legacy endures as both a historical achievement and a symbol of hope for oppressed peoples everywhere, highlighting the universal significance of the struggle for freedom and the possibility of radical social transformation. And that brings us to the end of this epic journey through the Haitian Revolution, here on History Teller YT. Today, we've witnessed the incredible courage of a people who refused to accept slavery, the brilliance of leaders like Toussaint Louverture and Dessalines, and the birth of the first independent Black republic, a nation born from blood, sacrifice, and unshakable resolve. The moral of this story? True freedom demands courage, unity, and resilience. It reminds us that even in the face of overwhelming oppression, ordinary people can achieve extraordinary change, rewriting the course of history with their will and determination. If you were inspired, shocked, or moved by today's history, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. More untold stories of bravery, intrigue, and world-changing events await right here on History Teller YT. Join us again to explore the next chapter of human history, because the past has countless lessons, and the adventure of discovering them has only just begun.